Hello everyone, we're back with another $2 deck tech for my $2 Highlander format. It started off as a deck building challenge between some friends and I, and this is one of the spikier versions that I've made. Kind of evolved into more of a casual format, so I don't always bust this out when I'm playing with new players since it is my combo deck. Built it around Varolz, the Scar Striped, because he is a very good sacrifice outlet that can regenerate himself, so he's a little bit harder to remove than some of the other ones. I also built the deck around Primal Surge. Had not built one of these decks yet. If you've never built one, I think everybody should do it at least one time. And finally, after drafting Conspiracy and finding this card, I built it around Death Render. So if you've never played with Death Render, where Death Render really shines is when you have this repeatable effect, where you have a Gravedigger and it dies, and you get a trigger to put another creature into play. So you put a Cadaver Imp into play, or something along those lines, and when it enters play, you get the Gravedigger back in your hand, and then you can sacrifice the Cadaver Imp if you have a sacrifice outlet like Varolz, and when the Cadaver Imp dies, you get a trigger, and you put a Gravedigger into play. You seeing a loop there? So my deck cares about when things die, and it has several of these Cadaver Imp Gravedigger cards in there. Entomber Exarch also lets you get a card out of your opponent's hand. It's kind of a control mechanism there. Phyrexian Delver, it's actually going to return something right from the graveyard to the battlefield, and you're going to lose some life. So I have to be careful if I'm trying to combo out with this card, because I might have to pay a fair amount of life before I get there. Pharika's Mender, really nice because you can also get an enchantment from your graveyard to your hand. And the big daddy of them all, Deadwood Treefolk. So if you notice, this card, when it enters and when it leaves, lets you get a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So once you have a Death Render, a Deadwood Treefolk, and any one of these guys, you can actually loop a third creature, because when this enters play, you get a creature from your graveyard, and when it leaves play, you get one of these guys back. So then you put your third creature into play, such as a Blood Artist, and you just win the game, because you just loop these over and over and over. Or if you already have a Blood Artist in play, and you have any of these effects, you just win the game. Any ETB effect is just going to be awesome on that third creature, or any die effect that I have in play. So this card, very strong, best card in the deck, and I'll show you how the rest of the deck works. Keep in mind, I'm trying to cast a Primal Surge, and I can sacrifice anything with my general. I already showed you the Blood Artist. That's like the main kill condition of the deck. There's some redundancy there with this card, Falconwrath Noble. Just does the same thing. Gutter Grime. Whenever something dies, I get, well, a non-token. Some of these cards are non-token. The ones that just say creature are really the best cards in the deck, but these do quite well as well, because whenever I have a loop, I'm just making infinite ooze tokens. Pawn of Ulamog. This gives me those little 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawns that can sacrifice themselves for mana. One of the best cards in the deck here. Essentially, I'm getting infinite creatures and infinite mana if this guy's in play and I've created a loop. It also just helps me in the early game make some blockers, get some early ramp. Ogre Slumlord. This also includes creatures your opponents control, so he can generally just make tons of dudes. And the rats that I get also have Death Touch from this guy, so really helps in the early game when people are trying to attack you. This deck just never really runs out of chump blockers, so the way that it dies is usually, you know, someone's throwing 8/8 flyers or tramplers or something at me. Other than that, it's very resilient. Soul of the Harvest, just kind of a must-have with this kind of a deck. Drawing cards is always nice, and this lets you draw your entire deck when you have a loop. Harvester of Souls does the same thing, and it also counts your opponent's creatures dying, which is pretty relevant. Grim Haruspex. This is one of the only must-draw-a-card effects in the deck, so I do have to remember to sacrifice this guy first, but it's just one more of those draw-your-deck kind of cards, and this deck wants as many of those as it can have. Dark Prophecy is another forced effect, so I have to Rec Sage this before I kill myself, unless I have a Blood Artist or some other life gain thing that I'm looping. and it will also mill me to death if I'm not careful. So I have to remember to deal with this card before anything happens, but it's pretty strong effect. It doesn't care about tokens, and neither does Fecundity, which is way better than Dark Prophecy. Probably the card I'm happiest to see in my deck. I just have tons of things with lots of lives and things that when they die, I get another guy. It helps my opponents draw cards, but that's kind of okay because, I mean, sometimes it doesn't get blown up because people think I'm playing a group hug deck or something like that. Savra. So the only real control element I have in this deck are these three effects. Pretty much everything else I'm just on my own, hoping not to die. Savra can also let me gain life once I'm done paying life to make everyone else sack their things. If I have any green creature that I'm sacrificing, it can help me win through, like Phyrexian Delver or the Dark Prophecy effect that make me lose life. Dictate of Erebos is really the only non-creature, only control card in the deck, but it's just so good I just kind of have to have it. And, I have a couple cards that care about my opponent's creatures dying as well. Viscera Seer, backup sacrifice outlet. Once people have played the deck a few times, they know that getting rid of Varolz weakens me significantly. Without that sack outlet, it's a little harder for me to go off. This also lets me scry, so helps me dig for those combos. Grim Backwoods, might as well include it. In a pinch, I can sack a creature, draw a card. Flesh Eater Imp, he's kind of a backup win condition as well as a backup sack outlet, so just a great card on the deck. Also can chump one of those 8/8 flyers that people throw at me when they're trying to kill me, so relevant in that regard as well. Altar of Dementia, this is one of the fastest ways I can win the game because I can just mill everyone out. I mean, 4 cards including this, and I've got an infinite loop and you're out of cards. Sorry about that. Also good in the early game, I can mill myself. I don't have a lot of self-mill in the deck. It might benefit from some more of that because I do have plenty of recursion, but for the most part, I'm just trying to draw cards and then recur like the Gravediggers and things like that. I don't mill myself too much without this card. Ashnod's Altar. This is just one of the most broken cards. Want to mention it's relevant that this is a mana ability, so if somebody casts something like Wipe Away with Split Second, or Croson Grip, or Word of Seizing, you can sacrifice a creature in response, since it's a mana ability. And it's a backup sack outlet to Varolz. It helps me get that early Primal Surge mana. It helps me just cast things. I often have plenty of creatures that I don't need that I can sack for the effect. And you can go infinite with just about anything if you have these two cards in play. Any creature that has more than one life, by that I mean comes into play, makes another creature, or returns to play when it dies, such as Kozilek's Predator. You just made infinite mana, you made infinite 0/1 tokens, because when you sack it to get the 2 mana and you sack one of the other creatures, you make enough mana to recur this thing, so you get infinite death triggers, which can result in any number of things if you've seen. This is also just a really cool card to return something you don't want to be dead yet, so leaving up 4 mana just to kind of protect an important creature in play, also great. Death Reap Ritual. Card's pretty cute. At worst, it's usually like a Harmonize. I'll get a couple of death triggers off of it, but at best I can draw, a card at the end of each turn fairly reliably. It's also great with any of these guys that make more than one creature, and I have a sack outlet. Cream of the Crop, kind of a scry effect. You get to look at the cards equal to the power, and you have to leave one on top, and you have to put the others on the bottom. Really nice when you're looping, drawing, digging for a combo, and it's just a good early play to help green get some card advantage. Disciple of Bolas, sack your biggest thing, get some life, get some cards, everybody's happy. Graveborn Muse, not the best draw effect ever in this deck because I don't run too many zombies, but I mean at worst it's 1 card and lose a life. Dark Tutelage, a little harder to remove than Graveborn Muse, and a similar effect. Sometimes you're going to die to this, but I mean you're just trying to combo out, so your life total's not highly relevant, and I got enough chump blockers, I usually have some time. Skull Mulcher, recent addition to the deck. Really nice card draw effect here. He can eat a whole bunch of things that I don't care about or don't need, and just some extra dudes, like Grime tokens or Ooze tokens or whatever is going on. And you get a bunch of cards. Elvish Harbinger. This is actually kind of an important card in the deck. It can help me get a Rec Sage if I really need one. It can get me a Wood Elf in the early game. It also taps for mana, so it's just a great card to have. Generally, though, I'm getting Fierce Empath with this card to add a little bit more consistency to the deck. Fierce Empath can give me any number of things, draw effects or those Grave Pact effects that I showed you. I can also get like Mere Battlesphere if I just need a creature with more bodies, or I have infinite colorless mana and just need to cast something big. Ring of Three Wishes, normally a terrible card, but as often as this deck ramps and makes tons of mana, it can just go get me Primal Surge, and if no one can counter it, I just win, or it can get me any number of combo pieces. Mirror Retriever, also a little redundancy, helps me get back a Death Render that got counterspelled, or an Ashnod's Altar that somebody blew up. Junk Diver, same effect. Kind of cute, these two can actually create that Gravedigger effect with each other, or with another artifact creature. So you can infinitely loop Mirror Retriever and Junk Diver if you have Death Render in play. And Buried Ruin. Again, you see how important the artifacts are in my deck. This is just one more way to get them back. Those are the draw effects. Let's talk about the guys that get me more guys. So you saw Kozilek's Predator, a little redundancy there with Dread Drone. Just getting those spawn tokens early can be nice too for ramping or chump blocking or any death triggers I need. This is a really interesting card. If you've never heard of this, pause the video and just read this. But basically, you're getting a bunch of 2/2s, and so is everyone else. But if you've got more guys in your graveyard, you're getting more. So you're not really worried about people attacking you with their 2/2s. And with a card like Death Reap Ritual in play, this means I'm just guaranteed to draw a card at the end of every turn, or any number of death triggers can be really relevant. If there's a bunch of creatures coming back every turn, and I've got a Blood Artist, I mean, I'm just going to gain tons of life and maybe kill somebody. And the important word is each here. So each upkeep, we're all getting a ton of these 2/2 tokens. Really cool card. Ophiomancer, also great with death triggers that I want to do every single turn, like a Death Reap Ritual. You just sacrifice the one you had, and you pass the turn, and then on your opponent's upkeep, you get another one. Also relevant that they have Death Touch, so trying to survive here, don't want to get run over. Awakening Zone, kind of an auto-include. It's ramp, it's free creatures every turn, it's just great. It's an enchantment, harder to remove. Alright, let's get to the cute cards here. So, Colony Garden, you just get a free little plant token. I mean, why not? It's a death trigger, that's what I want. Memnite and Ornithopter. Generally, I would say these cards are unplayable in almost any deck, but they are just super adorable in this deck. Sometimes you just need one more death trigger and you don't have any mana, and you just hit this guy and he just gets you there. He gets you another card draw. It's also just a free play, free blocker. It's just what this deck wants to have fun with. Young Wolf, kind of similar. I mean, just a little dork. I mean, he's just 1 mana, 2 lives. He goes infinite with Ashnod's Altar and Nim Deathmantle, in the sense that I get infinite triggers. Really good card to have in the deck. Mere Battlesphere, the Big Daddy I mentioned earlier, gets you 5 lives, 5 death triggers. Really nice card. Can put it in almost any 2DH deck, really. Sepulchral Primordial, oftentimes this gets me 2 or 3 other creatures into play. That's why it's in the deck, and sometimes those creatures are relevant too and can help you go off. Also nice, you know, to have some big fatties that can block and get your opponent's things that, you know, can help you win the game. This is the card. So this has the most lives of any creature, I think. When it dies, you get 2 more creatures, and when those creatures both die, you get 4 more creatures. I actually had a game where I had Ashnod's Altar, Nim Deathmantle, this, and Altar of Dementia, and I just won on turn 5. I was just like, play this, sacrifice it, you guys mill over and over and over. Also nice because you can make infinite 2/2s that maybe you need to swing with, and if your opponent wraths the board, you still have the 1/1s, so they're still just dead to the attack step. And how are we going to cast all of these cards? There's some doozies in there. We got a lot of things that we have to do. Gyre Sage, kind of an auto-include when you have a commander that can scavenge. So something stupid like a Memnite for free, I can just put an extra counter on Gyre Sage. Really nice to kind of have a little bit of backup synergy with Varolz. Also, I mean, you play Varolz on turn 3 and you've already evolved this once. Somberwald Sage, just what this deck needs. Full of creatures, and this guy can just crank them out, cast them. Really helps in the early game. Sakura Tribe Elder, I mean, why wouldn't you play it? It's a death trigger, sacks itself. Really nice. Wood Elves. This is a great card to loop, like I was talking with earlier with Deadwood Treefolk, because it puts all those forest cards into play untapped, and you can then do other things to help you go off and win the game. And I mean, you also just want early ramp and an early body. It's just great. And then you got its big grandfather here, Seed Guide Ash. This card is amazing. If you are planning on having things die in your deck, just run this card. It's 3 lands into play tapped. I mean, I'm trying to cast Primal Surge. I'm trying to thin my deck to combo out. I've had games where I just had nothing going on, but sack Seed Guide Ash turn 5, and then turn 6, I reanimate it with something and sack it, and then turn 7, I Gravedigger it and sack it. I actually run a couple extra forests just to get maximum value out of this card, and it's a really relevant body too in the early game. I mean, what are your opponents going to do? Swing at you with something, and then you block with the Seed Guide Ash? Thanks for the 3 forests, no big deal. Crypt of Agadim doesn't always get there, but occasionally this thing is just going to get you a few extra mana that you need to cast a big spell or empty your hand or whatever it might be. This is a terrible card. I do not recommend this card other than maybe in this deck. Getting out of focus here. So you sacrifice a creature for 1 mana and you get a land card into play tapped. It doesn't sound that good for 6 mana to get 1 land, but if this thing sticks, I have so many little dorks that I'm making and things that I'm doing that I can, like, Boundless Realms with this thing. I can spend 7 mana and get 7 lands, like, no problem. And it's also just a backup sacrifice outlet. Like I said, people target your sack outlets once they figure out what you're doing. And just having all that redundancy in there, especially on enchantments that are people run less removal for, card's pretty relevant. Burnished Heart, I mean, come on, why not? We're getting lands. I know we're in green, but we don't have our rampant growths and things like that because we're a Primal Surge deck, so you gotta have the Burnished Heart. I mean, you can get them back with a bunch of things too in the deck, like the Mirror Retrievers and stuff. And finally, we have just the funnest card in the deck. Really great with Varolz because we're scavenging things onto this to just dig for more lands. I mean, turn 3 we play this. Turn 4, we search twice, and we're just ramping. We're just getting there. I've had games where I had nothing going on, but I had a Fertilid and a Nim Death Mantle. So on the last end step, I Fertilid, Nim Death Mantle, bring it back, untap, pass. And then on the next end step, I'm like Fertilid, Nim Death Mantle, Fertilid, untap, pass. So before you know it, you're just back in the game. You just have your deck thinned, all your lands in play for when you're ready to go off, and it's just a fantastic card. This is also the backup win condition of the deck. So if you look at this card, it says target player searches, not may. So can you guess what my win condition is with this? Let's say I Primal Surge and my opponent has an Angel of Jubilation in play and it says I can't sacrifice anything. And this actually happened to me the other day. So I have no way to go off of my deck. I used to run like Mogus's Marauder to give things haste, but I just found I was usually just comboing, not swinging. So with Fertilid, I can give him a few extra counters after a Primal Surge because all my lands are untapped. And then I make my opponents search their library. It is just the jankiest, most fun way to win a game of Magic, and it's just one of the really silly things about this deck. Alright, if you have any questions or comments about the deck, or any suggestions, feel free to post below. I really love this deck. Again, it's a little more competitive, so I don't usually run it against new players because 2DH is a little bit more of a casual format, and we're trying to kind of have a little more fun and actually play Magic. But when I got the spikes playing that are part of the deck building challenge aspect of it, I love running this deck out. It's one of the best ones in the format. It's a lot of fun to play. If you're interested in 2DH, just check us out on Facebook. Thanks again, you guys, for watching. Have a nice day.